Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a whole bunch of lip swatches for you, which now my lips are on fire, but I think it's worth it. This installment of lip swatches, which I think these are still my favorite things to film. Tell me if you enjoy watching them. I know that a couple of people absolutely do. So this is for the Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit Matte Lipsticks. I had to read that, it's quite a mouthful. So there are 12 shades of these. I recently went to a Wet n Wild event in Toronto to hear about all the new launches, and this was one of them, and I made sure that I got all 12 shades so that I could swatch them all for all of you. Now these retail for $4.99 US or $6.99 Canadian, wherever you can find them in Canada. Try Walmart. That is the best bet for Wet n Wild, and if you want to find Wet n Wild products in more locations, make sure that when you do go to a store that sells drugstore makeup, ask the people that work there if they could get Wet n Wild in, things like that. The only way that they're going to expand into more stores, they said, is if the customers ask different stores to start carrying the brand. So you can also buy that online. You just have to deal with shipping and obviously exchange rate, that kind of stuff, but this is very affordable makeup whether you pay the US dollar or Canadian dollars. So yeah, without further ado, let's look at the swatches of all 12 shades, and then I'm going to come back and kind of tell you which ones were my favorites, which ones I had difficulty with, if you couldn't tell already from the swatches. Okay, so I thought I would start off with the ones that I really enjoyed, and then I have one that I was kind of in the middle ground, and then I have the batch that just didn't really do it for me all that much. So we'll start off with the good though. There's actually 5 shades that I really enjoyed that I could see myself wearing, on a regular, I would say. A lot of them are more in the middle toned area, and then I have one like lighter one and one darker one. So the lighter one for sure that I absolutely loved, and I'm sure you could tell through the swatch, is 924B Rebel Rose. The formula, I think, on this one is the best out of all of them. It is the perfect amount of like thickness to thinness, ease of application. A lot of them I found that it was almost too thin, and then it would cause patchiness and it would just be frustrating, but this one I found was the best bet in terms of formulation. There's a couple other ones that are really good too, but this one, by far, I will be reaching for this a lot. It's just a really good everyday type of color. Absolutely love it. Hooray! A little bit brighter, but still not quite super dark, is 927B Nice to Fuchsia. Just a really gorgeous fuchsia purple shade. It's leaning more towards that like violet purple shade, I find, but still super nice. Really great pigmentation on this one. I didn't have any real issues of patchiness or having to go over areas, but this one, yeah, this one was quite awesome. Keeping with the midtones, I also really enjoyed 926B Berry Recognize. Just a beautiful berry shade. I absolutely loved this one. It's just so pretty. And again, the formulation was basically on point. Now there are two reds with the collection, and I definitely preferred the deeper one. This one is 930B Missy and Fierce. This is like that all-American girl classic red shade. It's a little bit deeper than my beloved Creeper from ColourPop, but it's just so lovely. And this one I found actually dried the fastest, so you do have to be very careful with this one. You can see in some of the swatches that there's still a little bit of that satin finish with my swatches, and it's just because I didn't quite let it dry down fully matte, or I think my lips would have fallen off during this video. But this one, I didn't even need to like really wait. It just dried instantly matte. So this one was really nice in that sense. Pretty comfortable on the lips considering that it dried so quickly as well. But yeah, this one is just that classic blue toned red that I think everyone can pull off. And then lastly, for the ones that I actually really enjoyed, is this one that's right here. And this one is 932B Goth Topic. Now there's two dark shades that are actually, they look very similar in the two, but this one is definitely more of like a darkened brown that almost looks, basically looks black on my skin. Now, I cannot say that this was easy to apply by any means. I think when I finished swatching it, it took 4 minutes and 30 seconds for me to actually apply it. So it looks like this, and it's still not quite perfect. But I found that the formulation for this deep one was a lot better than the other color, the other dark one. And I found that it was a little bit easier to be precise with. And when I put my lips together, it didn't lift up onto the other lip and then leave with patchiness. So I just found that this one was a little bit easier to apply to get a really good result. Now with this one, I did put a pretty light layer on first, and then I put on a couple more layers, so it's not to say that this is going to be super comfortable. The pigmentation is there, but you do have to apply a very thick layer to get the full pigmentation, so I would rather just put 3 thinner coats on and then basically let each one dry, because if you apply the second or third coat when the one below it is still a little bit wet, it will start lifting. So just be careful with that, but this one is still really nice. And I really like it. It's like a little bit more of an approachable black lip, I feel, for my skin tone. Okay, so the one that was kind of on the middle ground, and it's only because I'm just surprised that I liked the shade so much, but I just don't know if I can see myself wearing it that much because it's just not me, but it is 923B Pink Really Hard. I typically never go for pinks like this, but I actually really liked the way that this applied on the lips. It didn't leave too many like streaky patches or whatnot. It was a pretty nice formula. It wasn't the best. It wasn't like Rebel Heart, but it's still pretty creamy, and it's just that deep enough mid-tone that I find it wearable. If it was any lighter, I would have absolutely despised this color, but still really nice. And for someone who doesn't wear pink lips, usually, it's very rare, this one was actually pretty accessible for me, and I didn't want to like run screaming from it. Okay, so the ones that I wasn't a huge fan of, and unfortunately there are 7 of them, so that's the majority of this collection. It's not to say that all 7 of them I didn't like for the same reasons, but well, we'll get into it. So the lightest of all of them, and this is purely in the fact that this shade looks wretched on me, but is this like 920B Nudie Patootie. it's just this very strange, like kind of like a concealer lip, but it has like almost, it leans a little like grayish on me, which it just isn't good. Now, if this had like a little bit more of like a pinky hue to it, oh, it'd be absolutely perfect. Or maybe if I mixed it a little bit with one of the pink colors, it might work, but this was just not a good shade whatsoever for my skin. Another light shade, and again, I think this is a lot of shade preference for me, but it is 921B Nudist Peach. It's nice enough in terms of the shade, but I actually found that I got a little bit streaky. It's like the formula was a little bit too thin for my liking. I don't know. It just definitely wasn't my favorite, but I think if you're looking for like a nude peach color, this one would be really good. Just watch out for the liquidiness of it potentially. Now, there's another like corally peach shade that, again, it's just not my cup of tea. It's just not something I'd reach for. This one was probably my favorite of the duds, I would say. It's 922B Coral Corruption. It dries a little bit deeper than this, which I do kind of like, but it's just not the shade for me. But I didn't have any of those issues with the Nudist Peach. With the streaking I found, this one actually applied pretty well. Now, a shade that I thought that I was absolutely going to freaking love is 925B Give Me Mocha. I swore, I was like, this is going to be it. I hated the application of this one. I found it to be very streaky. I just didn't really enjoy it. I don't know. The color's nice, but yeah, I just wasn't a huge fan of the formula for this one, and that made me just not like it, because I would really like the shade though. Now there's like two brighter ones, and I knew that I wasn't gonna like these. There's 928 Oh My Dolly and 929 Flame of the Game. This one, I just never wear these shades at all, but I can say that the formula on this one is absolutely fantastic. It went on really easily. It has tons of pigment. There's no worries about that. It's just not my shade. But if I ever needed a really bright hot pink, then I don't know, maybe I'd wear it. I don't know. Yeah, it's just not for me at all. But someone with deeper skin tone, this would look so good. And then this other bright one, it is, like I said, Flame of the Game. It's just way too orangey for me. It is a very bright orange. I would say it's just an orange. It's not, it kind of leans to the red area, but for the most part, it's orange. Oh, no, I can't do it. And the formula I found was a little bit too thin, so I did have some, like, streaking issues and that kind of stuff. I just wasn't a big fan. And then last, probably certainly least, actually, yeah, this was my least favorite shade of them all. It's 931B Video Vixen. The application on this was horrendous. You will see, you've already seen in the swatch that it is just patchy beyond belief. I couldn't save it. I just hated every single minute of it. I found too, I think with the wand of this one, it was a little bit too flexible, whereas other ones, the wand stayed relatively stiff. So with the over flexible wand of this one plus the streaky application, it was just dreadful. No, just bad. Go with Goth Topic over Video Vixen for sure. Now, I did notice something, and this was around for all of them. I found that sometimes the formula in the tube was actually like almost separated. So a piece of advice for anyone getting these, I would definitely, and I know they don't tell you not to do it, you want to try and move the wand around a lot and mix up the formula before you apply it. I think that might have had to do with a little bit of the streakiness that I found, just because if they weren't mixed up properly. And I know for, I think it was Oh My Dolly. Yeah. This one I could actually tell that there was like a thicker part inside the tube and then a more liquidy outside. So this one I definitely had to mix around. So just be careful with that. And also there is like a locking mechanism on these. So when you turn it to close it, there is a definitive like lock that you know that it's like really sealed. So just watch out for that as well. So overall, I'm relatively happy with the collection. I think that about half of it is really good, and it, you know, it has some really great colors. I do just watch out for the formulation of some of them. It's just a little bit too thin, a little bit too patchy, but it's a really great price, $4.99 or $6.99 depending on where you are. Like, you really can't go wrong. So if you do want to try and get into the liquid lipstick game, if you haven't already, just because you feel like you have to go with an Anastasia or Kat Von D or MAC or whatever it would be, and they're just a little bit too expensive, this is a really great option for you, and there's a nice range of shades, so hopefully you can find something that you enjoy. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to follow me on social media so you know what's happening. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day, and I will see you next time. Bye!